Hi, I am Pastor Ruth Winfield, and welcome to another episode of the Deep Saints here on Wisdom Cafe. And again, I'm excited. I'm always excited to share. And today I want to talk about the hierarchy in your life. That means, who is the governing authority in your life? Who has the power to control your decisions? Even when you get in tough places and challenges and it's hard, who do you go to make that decision in your life? Could it be that God has placed that challenge there to grow us, to develop us, to increase us, to build another bridge, to strengthen the relationship between ourselves and God? I'm reminded of the rich young ruler. In Mark 10, starting at verse 17, he had everything going on for himself, so he thought. He had the finances. Materialistically, he was set. But he realized that there were missing ingredients in his life that if he did not get right, he would miss heaven. And so he goes and have a meeting with Jesus. And he shares his resume about everything he's done since his youth up. And Jesus allows him to know that there is one thing that you need to do that is keeping you out of heaven. And how many of you know you got to die to yourself for God to be the authority in your life? And he did not want to give his possessions so that he could have a place in the kingdom of heaven. And he dropped his head and walked away. Now, the truth of the matter, God owns everything anyway. And what he could have done is all he had to do was blow on his finances and had him bankrupt in that very conversation. But he let him go on. But one thing the rich young ruler knew for sure is that he was missing elements of his life that he had to go through God to get. And until God becomes the authority in your life, you will find that there are missing elements in your life, missing ingredients in your life, that if you don't submit under his authority, you will never get to the places you need to get to in this earth without him. So whenever God becomes your authority, you yield yourself to him. You yield your decisions to him. You yield your plans to him. And he will order you in the path that you should go. Let's take a look at Daniel, a contrast from the rich young ruler. In the book of Daniel, chapter 3, we have Daniel and the three Hebrew boys taken into captive against their own will. They're given places of leadership because Nebuchadnezzar took the smartest, the best, the wittiest, and pulled them against their own will into an enslaved camp in the province of Babylon. Daniel became royalty there, and he was the overseer of the chief of governors. He hired Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego as advisors to his leadership team. So here they are in the city of Babylon, in the province of Babylon, and they're running things. But they come from a totally different hierarchy than the one that's revealed in Babylon. They know what it is to obey the laws of the Lord. They know what it is to be in royalty. I mean, after all, Daniel's name meant God is my judge. Daniel had the best teaching. You would have to think his education was excellent, and his social standings was great. And now he's in a strange land working for a resource that is not the will of God. And then they decide to erect a statue that would honor Nebuchadnezzar, and people were bowing to him as a king. Mind you, he's not the King of Kings. He doesn't have the ability and the power based upon our hierarchy under the lordship of Jesus Christ. He don't have that He don't have that kind of power. He's just a resource. God is the source. And now they want everybody to bow to this golden image, committing idolatry. That's what it would be for Daniel, Hebrew boys. But they're not going to bow. So you can imagine a conversation that takes place in a break room or during lunchtime, how Daniel, Hebrew boys, and now they're all in leadership positions. And, when they're in leadership positions, they're supposed to be in examples, and they're not bowing themselves. I think we need to let King Nebuchadnezzar know that his leaders is not even bowing to this golden image or recognizing and honoring him as king. Oh, they're in a hard place right now. And when you're in a hard place, it will always determine where your loyalty lies. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said, we are not bowing. We won't bow. I heard one preacher say it this way: you win if you don't bow. So they're thrown in a fiery furnace, and they see a fourth man in there. And that fourth man become the cooling system. In other words, they can sit back, read a book, they can watch TV, because the effects of the king, lowercase King, could not impact the power of the King of Kings, the authority, the hierarchy in their life. And God will take any situation to transform or renew a mind. And when they came out of the fire, they recognized the power that God had in the lives of the Hebrew boys. We have to be careful who we allow to meet our needs, because whoever meets our needs have the ability to become a controlled substance in our life. And not every door that is open for you is a door that is God's will. We have to be cognizant of the fact that I don't need to walk through that door. We have to have our discernment on point. That's not God's will for me. God has better for me. There are effects in my life that will come and be a control substance in my life if I walk through that door. And that means it usher God out and push the enemy in. I can't walk through that door. That is not the authority in my life. That is not the hierarchy by which I operate. The authority of God. I will stand and I will wait. I will wait on God to deliver me. I will wait on God to act. I will not yield myself to unbelievers. I will not yield myself to false gods. Let me leave you with this wisdom key. And that's this, and I'll say it again. Be careful who you allow to meet your needs, because they have the ability to become a controlled substance in your life.